Up, Scotty, in that truck. Easy Eye. What's up, everybody? I swear, this is the best floss I've ever had. I like the Glide floss, but the Glide mint. Whoa. Got your teeth is feeling fresh. Non-paid advertisement. I ain't sponsored by Oral-B, but goddamn it, you niggas need to get some of that because a lot of y'all breaths stink. A lot of people's breaths smell like yesterday's meal. Y'all need that. That's an unpaid advertisement for all you stinky teeth, stinky breath motherfuckers. That mint that flosser alone will put some kind of mint in your mouth. You dirty mouth bastard. What's up, everybody? We're gonna be talking about what's up, Alicia, Raynard. We're gonna be trying the. We're gonna be talking today about the real reason for inner city violence. Because I saw a video the other day. There we go. What's up, everybody? Come on in here. We're going to be talking about the real reason for inner city violence. It's been a lot going on. Trump's National Guard. And let me start off by saying this. Y'all see the title. Let me start off by saying this. I am not against the National Guard coming into these cities. I'm not. I'm not a liberal. I'm not a conservative. I'm a nigga that makes sense. And I'm not worried about the National Guard. Some of it I think is good. So, what's up, Cheryl Bryant? Mark? So I'm not here to totally diss Trump bringing in the National Guard. I believe any of these YNs out here robbing and shooting and killing and shit. If you robbing, shooting, and killing, you need to go to jail. I believe in harsh punishment for people who rob and kill. I don't like thieves, I don't like murderers. But with that being said, thieves, especially in the black community, especially in our community, crime is tied to opportunity, poverty. Crime is tied to opportunity, poverty. And I'm tired of that comment, it be your own people. You didn't hear white people say that when a white person killed Abraham Lincoln. You didn't hear that when a white person shot at Donald Trump and missed last year. You didn't hear that last weekend when a white tranny shot up a Catholic school. It's obvious it be your own people because crime is crimes of proximity. So of course it's your own people. That goes without saying. Most crime is going to be your own people because most crime is going to happen to who you're around. Black people are the only ones that had them stupid ass cliches. Trying to make ourselves feel bad, extra bad for some shit that everybody does. Of course it's your own people. Bernie Madoff robbed Jews. Remember that? Bernie Madoff robbed Jews of billions of dollars. Of course it's your own people. Of course. The term Ponzi scheme, because there was a white man named Ponzi going around stealing from other white people. And that's how you get the term Ponzi scheme. So this isn't the place for your old school cliches. This isn't a place for we our own worst enemy. Everybody's their own worst enemy. Of course. Of course it's your own people. So that goes without saying. I'm not about to sit here and feel bad because I see a black person kill a black person. Well, that's who that nigga was around. Hey, Bond, your worst enemy is a funny joke. That motherfucker been running from you since forever. Holla at Biz Marquis so you can learn how to make somebody laugh. You dig? So now, I appreciate that, Jack. 33161 microphone check was a dope. That was a fun time with Tariq and that documentary. But what's up, Felix Speaks? Salute to you. So let's get into it. Somebody says the police chase going on. Damn, I would have went live and showed the police chase. But I don't feel like sitting inside. I feel like sitting on my porch because it feels so good out here. So a chat room. There you go. There you go. Brian Barnes was like, yeah. Hey, now you know whoever that was in the chat. My chat room give you 2 chances to make them laugh. If you don't make them laugh after 2 jokes, you're out of here. That's the #1 rule. You can say all the jokes you want. Just be funny and creative. Salute, Brian. You can say all the jokes you want, but this ain't the place for you to try it out. This is the real deal. This is the big time stage. If you're gonna be in the chat room, this ain't the place for you to figure out how to be funny. You go figure out how to be funny in other chat rooms and come here ready. Because if you make me laugh or make my moms laugh, you gets to stay. You're right, this is the Apollo. We'll yank your ass off the stage so fast. So there we go. Salute therapy. Yeah, we got 100 people and 29 likes. Hit the like button. Thanks, Vince. So let's get into it. This comes off the heels of, Trump is in D.C. talking about coming to Chicago and L.A. And then Newsom was talking all that shit to Trump. And then Gavin Newsom just said today that he's going to use the CHP and more agencies to put more patrols on the streets of L.A. And they're using black people as the face of crime. And he said Shaka shut that Cynthia BS down? All right, cool. Well, we have this thing where they're talking about inner city crime now. And then this past weekend in LA, it was like 10 people were shot, 2 died. And you saw, people like Anton Daniels coming out saying, oh, that's just violence everywhere in the inner city. It's crazy how you haven't heard really much about nothing as far as shootings in LA this year. This year, LA is on pace for its lowest crime year in 60 years. You know what happened 60 years ago? The Watts riots. And after the Watts riots, 2 years in LA with only one murder across 2 years. Because we were policed correctly and we had resources. So this year is scheduled to be the lowest crime rate in LA since then. But with that being said, one shooting, you get Anton Daniels, Harold Leroy beat me to it. You get Anton Daniels to say this is every day in the inner city, and it's not true. It's just not true. It's not every day in the inner city. As a matter of fact, it's very rare. It's not like it was in the 80s. So you have that. You have people that the minute something happens, they want to turn around and blame the whole inner city. Blame all of LA. Oh shit, I can hear that police chase. Whoever said there's a police chase in my area, I hear the helicopters now. I hear the helicopters, so somebody's getting chased near me. Damn it! Because I hear multiple. Anytime I hear more than 2 or 3 helicopters, I know it's a chase going on. I hear that motherfucker too. The ghetto birds is watching. I will be. Oh, LA got chases all the time. But let's break down why inner city violence exists. It's on Western? Okay, yeah, Western ain't too far from me. I'm somewhere. Let me see these helicopters. Oh, I see him over there. Yep, that's Western. I see the motherfuckers. There's 3 of them hoes up there. Are they coming this way? I hear the sirens now. Are they coming this way? Look. There they go. They're gonna get over. So yeah, it must be a chase because they are coming this way. Yeah. Oh, it's on Imperial? Yeah, that makes sense. Because Imperial's as far as the helicopters can go before they get to LAX. So I guess us folk police, they chasing that nigga. Shit. But damn it, I love watching police chases too. But I said, watch out for that skunk. Yeah. Oh, he going into Inglewood now? I bet you if I was covering that chase, I'd know every street that motherfucker's going down too. Yeah. Yeah, but Newsom is trying to emulate Trump. That is crazy work. So, here another cop car. They going towards the beach. They going towards the beach. He said, looking for Principal Lewis. Told y'all still say it's South Central. I hear guys. And it's funny, I had somebody, it was somebody on my Facebook page, I was like mad. They were like, yeah, man, you over there. I think they were from from somewhere on the East Coast. They were like, man, get your broke ass out of here. I was like, nigga, you can't be broke and live in LA. What the fuck is you talking about? You can't be broke and live here. My wife don't work. Like, who else? Who the fuck else gets to live in live in LA on one person working? They ain't broke. I'm just not leaving. I'm gonna sit here right here. This neighborhood where I live at is a good neighborhood though. I live in a good neighborhood. But I'm gonna stay right here till it gets better. Even better than that. I'm just gonna go from good to greater. Nigga, even if I did live in a bad neighborhood, I wouldn't leave. All this gentrification and shit going on. I'm gonna stay right here. Mm-hmm. Yeah, like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, they say you're on aviation. If he's on aviation, that means he's going south. Aviation stops at Florence. He must be going now. He must. Okay, if he made it right on. If he's going down Imperial, okay, if he made it right, that means he'll be coming up on Manhattan Beach pretty soon. What's up, John A. West Point? Appreciate the super chat. Yeah. You're right, you gotta have money to live on Skid Row out here. What is he talking about? And I live good. You see how many concerts I be at? I be at the Hollywood Bowl having a good time. And I ain't rich though, hell nah. Anyway, back to the conversation about why this whole ghetto lifestyle and the violence exists. Likewise, John A. And I said that on 118th Street. But this is why it's like that in LA. I mean, this is why the violence exists. You're talking about bringing in martial law. And this is the reason why I'm questioning what Trump is doing with the National Guard. Like I said before, I'm not against it. But it's not a permanent solution. It won't work. Herbie Hancock was at the Hollywood Bowl last week. Mark, you missed that show. And yeah, I was there. Appreciate that, DSB. It's a temporary solution to bring the National Guard in. The way crime works in Black America, in overall, is opportunities. Common has a line in his songs, one of his songs. It says, "The streets, the story of the streets is needs and takes." That's in the song. What's the song? The song he did with Wale, singing the hook. It's the people. The song. Look up the song "The People" by Common. And he says the story of the streets is needs and takes. That's why we find peace in beats and breaks. What's up, Toya Rain? But go back and listen to that line. The story of the streets is needs and takes. That's why we find peace in beats and breaks. What Common was saying there is, the problem with the streets is you got people that need things. And if they ain't got things, they take things. And the way to get people out of that cycle of needs and takes is to give them something else to do. Real talk, Fader speaks. Kanye, I think Kanye's Common's best work with Kanye and Jay Dilla. Jay Dilla and Kanye. Where I like Common equally with both, with Dilla and Kanye. Like Water for Chocolate is my favorite album, but Finding Forever is my second favorite from Common. And B is my third favorite from Common. I like them all right there. Those three, that's my trilogy of Common. And then also like Electric Circus too. People hated that album, but I love it. I love Electric Circus. But Electric Circus is clearly number 4 behind those three. I put those three kind of like on the same level, and then Electric Circus. But what's happening is black youth, I'm actually amazed that the murder rate is as low as it is, because the opportunities are scarce right now. And I'm actually surprised the murder rate isn't higher. And I'm dead serious when I say that. I think we're doing a really good job with the crime rate where it is. I'm surprised it's not higher because of the wealth disparity, because crime is environmental, wealth disparity. And we're currently living in the Gilded Age. We're living in the Gilded Age where the rich and wealthy have everything and the people have so little. The people have so little. That's why Michael Jackson in the song Earth Song says, what about us? What about the people? Michael Jackson cried for us 30 years ago. We don't say, we've never said thank you. Michael Jackson put his whole career on the line for that History album, and we didn't say thank you before he died. Go listen to the Vamp on Earth Song when that choir get to pumping. So, a manosphere. Do you know that the wealth disparity has been larger 10 years ago? The wealth disparity got larger than it was during the time of the actual Gilded Age. Y'all know that? 2015. They reported that back in 2015 when Obama was in office. The wealth disparity as of 2015 was at a wider gap than it was during the actual Gilded Age. And it's gotten worse. And it's gotten worse. Happy birthday to Michael Jackson. Right, thank you. His birthday is today. So we got to know that we're in this Gilded Age right now. And that's what causes crime. England, during feudalism. Look at the movie Robin Hood. Crime. America during the Gilded Age. Very unlawful. America during the Depression. Extremely unlawful. Of all races. When people don't have things, they take. Let's go back to 2020, 5 years ago. One of the lowest years on record for crime was the pandemic year. And do you know why? Stores were still open. You had to wear a mask, but they were still open. It was because there was money in the economy. PPP loans, people getting the checks, those extended unemployment. When there was just a little money thrown to the people, just a little bit, the people just got a sprinkle of money during the pandemic. What happened? Crime dropped to almost non-existent. I don't know. Oh, my neighbor. Oh, no. Heard that shit, though, my goddamn neighbor. But crime dropped to almost non-existent during that time. All we gotta do is go look it up. Remember how niggas was clowning people with stimulus checks? Oh, niggas over here buying Gucci belts with their stimulus check. There was so many stimulus checks by barely over broke people with jobs, clowning our brothers and sisters without jobs and without a meaning income because they finally had a little bit of change in their pocket. And you had a whole bunch of these stupid niggas like, what you need to do, if they save their money, they could take this as an opportunity to fix their credit, buy a new automobile, buy a house, and then buy a yacht. But we can't buy a house and we can't buy a yacht because black folks want to buy Gucci belts. What's up? Yeah, Tori, I was having mine too. Airline price would be. People had access to resources. So when the inner city had access to resources, crime did what? It went down. There's a simple fix. Crime, especially in Black America. And for further information, go and look up the Kerner Commission report. Go and look up the Moynihan report. The Moynihan report talks about this. The Moynihan report says basically when black people have just adequate resources, not even abundant resources, just adequate, when we're adequately resourced, we don't commit crime. Yeah, free base. Everyone was in poor people's pockets. I was just happy that, and if somebody wanted to buy a Gucci belt, so what? So what? It's money. It's fake. People with these mindsets, that's similar. Do you think the United States didn't give up enough money for people to change their lives? This country can give up enough money for people to change their lives. But even the best of investors wasn't going to change their life on a $400 a week stimmy. The fuck is you talking about? Man, that chase still going on. They come back this way. Helicopters come back this way. I swear if I saw this chase, I'd be up there covering that motherfucker. I see a helicopter. Yeah, but during that stimulus, during that pandemic, I know I invested in myself. I used that stimmy money because I had left my job the year before and my unemployment was running out. That shit gave me an extension on my unemployment and stimulus. And I enrolled in the Small Business Development Center. I took all kind of online courses and classes to get better. And some of the biggest jobs I'm doing right now is from education I received that I paid for with that stimulus money. Yeah, that's what happened when the police chasers go to LAX. The helicopters just hang over my house because the helicopters can't go into LAX airspace. You won't see my house where I live because them cameras are about a mile away from them cameras are pointing miles from where they're stationed. But they'll station them helicopters right over my neighborhood. and them motherfuckers be way over in Inglewood. They'll be like, the chase would be like 6, 7, 8 miles away in Inglewood. But them niggas would be sitting right here. That's how I be doing half them chases are going on. Cause of all that goddamn, cause like the stopping line is where I live before it goes into LAX airspace. But you prevent crime with opportunity. Those of you who saw my show a couple weeks ago saw where I replayed my interview with Judge Joe Brown when we talk about the time in LA after the LA riots, when the peace was here for a few years, when UCLA and was cheap, and Berkeley up in the Bay Area was cheap, affordable, when they had jobs, there was no crime. None. Because the gangsters went to school. That's what's up. Teach me how. You said they left the guy away? Good. So, when you take away access to resources, when you take away people's hope, when you take away that light at the end of the tunnel, you know what it does? It makes people turn on themselves. That's natural. You're in a confined area. Do you know why? Let's break this all the way down. There's a reason for everything. There's a cause and effect relationship for everything. Good, they got away. Yes. That's the LAPD right there, I can tell. They go another way. The other helicopters was news helicopters. That was the LAPD. Bitch ass nigga. That was the LAPD one right there. Blue tail, white fuselage. But what happened was the access to resources we don't have. And every time in this country we've gotten access to resources, we've done well. Like, I look at my upbringing. I was raised in 3 different black neighborhoods in LA. I was raised east of the 110 freeway where my grandparents were. You know, where I still were, you know, until death, I never left east of the 110 freeway. And if you know east of the 110 freeway, you know what the fuck I'm talking about. I was raised off Crenshaw and Rodeo. More middle income, working class black neighborhood that was intersection with the hood. We had the jungles. It's like you always had these areas. You know, I was right there. BPS was a gang that represented my neighborhood. So I have a different point of view, you know, being a good kid, law-abiding, you know, kid that didn't break any laws. And I just love playing basketball and swimming and riding my bike and playing my drums. And I grew up in the same South Central LA that people talk shit about back in the 90s, but I freely walked to the park and played basketball because all them niggas in BPS just knew I just wanted to hoop. They didn't bother me. They had respect for me being a square. All I wanted to do my dad started letting me walk to the pool by myself when I was 9. And the pool was about a half mile walk, but I had to go past Rodeo Lane Apartments. And if you know South Central LA, you know the Rodeo Lane Apartments and the jungles ain't no joke, especially in 1989. The swimming pool was at the edge of the jungles that I used to go to. I used to play basketball at that park. And as a 9, 10-year-old walking to that park by myself, I never got harassed. I saw people get killed. I never got messed with. I saw it up close and personal. When they filmed Boys in the Hood, I was there. That scene when Ice Cube, when the worst comeback line in movie history ever happened, when Morris Chestnut hit Ferris, and he said, "What you hit, nigga?" I don't know, Vigor. Whoever the fuck wrote that comeback, I hope they never got a writing job again in their lives. I hope not. But anyway, that scene, me and my friends, we didn't see that scene. We didn't see it actually film out because it was at our bedtime. I was like 9. So we couldn't be out at night. But earlier that day when the sun was up, we was down there watching them. We was on our bikes going up and down Crenshaw because we heard Ice Cube was there. We was looking for Ice Cube. We didn't know movies had trailers. Just because you raised in LA, you don't know how movies are made. We over here thinking Ice Cube is going to be walking up and down the street. We on our bikes, like literally these little 9-year-old boys. We like 17 of us. We looking for Ice Cube. So I see it's not what they say. And same thing when I lived on 58th, when I was over on like basically 58th and Main Street over there, Stawson and Broadway. We used to walk all through the neighborhood. We used to be a Weber's like bakery that we used to walk and get bread from my grandmother from on San Pedro and Slauson. We used to walk to the ABC Market on Main Street and 54th. And we talking 1989, 1988. I'm 7, my brother's 11, 12, and me and my brother going all through the neighborhood in 1988. I never got pressed. It's not what these people say it is. And then my last year of high school, my parents moved up into View Park, house with the view of with the city, a very upper middle class black neighborhood. My wife was raised in Ladera Heights. My wife didn't even know. I'd be laughing at my wife because she didn't really understand that black people were struggling in LA until the LA riots. She was 10 when the riots happened. She never had, like, she would go visit her cousins or whatever, but she was raised in an all-black neighborhood with the president of Motown living across the street, the city councilman lived next door, doctors all up and down the block, and it was an all-black neighborhood. Gerald Busby, the president of Motown, lived across the street, and it was a completely black neighborhood. My wife didn't even understand black people were struggling until she was 10. And she lived in the middle of a black neighborhood. So I've seen all of the experiences. I've seen the poverty east of the 110. I've seen the working class on the Crenshaw district. And I've lived amongst the upper middle class, the business class. And when I was in View Park, one thing about View Park, it ain't no fucking crime in View Park. Now, of course, niggas gonna still lock their doors because everybody in View Park come from the hood. Niggas moved up. There ain't no fucking crime in View Park. Ain't no crime in Windsor Hills and Baldwin Hills and Ladera Heights and Upper Inglewood north of Fairview. Ain't no fucking crime. And the police didn't harass us because in View Park, that was patrolled by the Marina Del Rey Sheriff Department. And the Marina Sheriff, that division was mostly black. That's the blackest division within the LA County Sheriff is the Marina Del Rey division. And even the white cops, I remember when I was in my 20s, because I used to party all the time. I knew when I would be leaving Hollywood, it'd be like, let's get out of Hollywood, let's get through Hancock Park. That's where I'm most likely to get pulled over. And then, okay, now we in Mid-City. I still got to worry about the Rampart Street Division in Mid-City. I gotta worry about Wilshire Division. And then I cross Rodeo Road. Damn, now I'm in Southwest Division, LAPD, right here next to the J's. I gotta get through Southwest once I cross Adams. Once I crossed Coliseum on the Brea, and we go up and we get into the sheriff area, it was like, whew. I know what it feels like to grow up in a neighborhood and not worried about the police. Because the Marina Del Rey Sheriff, the Darrell Heights, that patrol of Darrell Heights, they didn't mess with us. Because what happened was the Lenox Sheriff used to, because Ladera Heights, View Park, Windsor Hills, that's unincorporated LA, so you don't have the LAPD, it's unincorporated. So it's patrolled by the LA County Sheriff. Well, it was once patrolled by the Lenox Sheriff Department, but Lenox patrols like Century, Normandy, Western. They patrolled the hood. And Lenox was treating the black folks in Ladera the same way they treated the niggas on Century and Normandy. And niggas in Ladera and View Park had a little bit of power and a little bit of money. So they requested that the Marina Del Rey Sheriff patrol Ladera and View Park. And that happened in the early 90s, late 80s. And Marina Del Rey Sheriff was chill. I know what it's like to be in an all-black neighborhood. Even now, when I go see my parents. Man, I know once I get on Slauson, I ain't getting pulled over. I got pulled over one time in View Park, and that's because my headlight was out. It was really out. I switched my headlight myself, but I didn't plug it in right. And so literally the day I changed out my own headlight, it went out, but then I turned it back in. Sometimes you got to plug it and tape it. This is when I was driving my first car. It was a 1991 GMC Jimmy. I used to fix that motherfucker myself. But I got pulled over one time because my headlight was out. If we ever called the police over there, they're there right away. I don't know what it's like to live somewhere and the police don't come right away, even where I live now. If I call the police right now, these motherfuckers will be here in 90 seconds. Trust me, I've done it before. I am the kind of nigga that will call the police. Shit, y'all come fucking around. I will call them motherfuckers. So, I've seen all the variations of Black America through the city, economic classes. I remember the police. My grandmother stayed in 77. No, they stayed in Newton Division. My grandmother stayed in her area was Newton. I remember the Newton LAPD versus the Southwest LAPD versus the Marina Del Rey Sheriff. I've seen all the treatments. You talking about Don Myrick? Yeah, that was Santa Monica. Oh, they worked patrolling. There was the Santa Monica sheriffs that killed Don Myrick. They said he was holding a gun when he was actually holding a lighter. That was in 1992. That was in Santa Monica. Santa Monica, you got shit to worry about as a black person. You're in Santa Monica. Although Santa Monica did have a black neighborhood back then. Santa Monica had a black neighborhood in the 70s. But Don Myrick died, I think, in 92. But I said that to say when I was in View Park, and when I go visit my parents now, them niggas ain't need for nothing. Ain't no crime over there. Ain't no hating. You know, it ain't no hating. Like I talked to my wife. My wife went to Frank Parent Elementary over in Ladera. And she always talked about being when they're at Parent, they didn't really have no fights because, like, at Parent, they always knew when somebody from the ghetto came over on permit, because somebody from the ghetto be coming in, I'm wearing these Jordans, I'm wearing this belt, and all the kids are like, all my clothes are that. Like, why are you bragging about your clothes? Like, it's just crazy. If you've ever been blessed enough to live in a neighborhood like Ladera Heights or View Park, it's special. And I'm sure there are people in this chat room that lived in similar neighborhoods in your city. People who lived in these similar style neighborhoods that are all black. Ladera Heights is, and it was still very black too. People lived there because it was black. Like, my wife, shit, her dad was producing Lionel Richie and he sold 100 million fucking albums. You don't think he could have moved to Beverly Hills? He was producing fucking Lionel Richie. But he wanted to live in a neighborhood and have his children in a black neighborhood. And that's the kind of neighborhood that Ladera Heights was. And View Park. A lot of black people who live there could afford to live in Brentwood. They could afford to live in Beverly Hills. The flats. I mean, like, not off Sunset Beverly Hills, but, you know, they go closer to Wilshire Beverly Hills. They could afford to live in Santa Monica. But they moved to those neighborhoods because it was black. Be good, stay safe. But I'm using these cities as an example. These are black neighborhoods where there is no poverty, there's no crime. I've lived in them. Yeah, I remember when Magic Johnson bought the Ladera Center. That was a kicking spot. The Ladera Center ain't the same. Magic Johnson bought the Ladera Center in 98. He put that Fat Burger in there, and he put that Fridays in there, and that Starbucks. And that Starbucks really anchored the place. And you had the older black people that played dominoes and chess at Starbucks. You had the younger black people that weren't knuckleheads hanging out at Fat Burger and Fridays. And we all used to be in that parking lot at the same time. I was 19, 20 years old back then. As a matter of fact, when the Lakers won the championship in 2000, that first championship with Shaq against the Indiana Pacers, first place we went was to the Ladera Center. We celebrated there at the Ladera Center. You had the old black folks, the chess ones at Starbucks playing chess with their Laker flags. You had my age group at Fridays with our Laker flags, and that's where we celebrated the Lakers winning the championship that night. Because the Mexicans was downtown burning cars and shit. Like, niggas was like, the fuck? Nigga, we didn't burn cars back in 88? Then we was like, yeah. When Magic was here, it wasn't that many Mexicans in LA. So it wasn't no car burning. 2000 hit. Them niggas was burning cars, flipping over ambulances, doing all kind of stupid shit. Niggas was on Crenshaw. I went to the Dare Center, and then I left there and went down Crenshaw and Slauson. Went down Slauson, down Crenshaw. Crenshaw was crazy when we won. And then when we won in 2001, I was on Crenshaw heavy on that one. 2001 and 2002. I was on Crenshaw. No. I went to Sunset. Because I didn't do Crenshaw that much. I didn't hang out on Crenshaw that much. When I was a kid, I saw too many people. I heard too many stories, and I heard too many gunshots from where I lived. I heard too many gunshots on Crenshaw for me to ever want to hang out on Crenshaw when I got in my 20s. So I was up on Sunset. But it's not just me. People who live in DeSoto, Texas, outside of Dallas, Richardson, Texas, Frisco. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Every city got them. Every black city got a Ladera Heights. Problem is, those of us who are raised in those type neighborhoods, we be too busy hustling and grinding. We ain't the ones talking about we our own worst enemy because we've lived in environments that know better. Unfortunately, a lot of your former athletes, and a lot of your people with a microphone, they were the ones that weren't lucky enough to live in one of those kind of environments. So those niggas are the loudest. When I lived in the Crenshaw district, I was it wasn't a whole, there was Section 8, those apartments and people in the county, but I lived in houses. I lived in a house. I had my backyard had 2 plum trees, an apricot tree, peach tree, strawberries. That was all in my backyard. With the strawberries up until I got my dog Rex, tore them fucking strawberries up. But yeah, I grew up with peach trees and plum trees and gunshots in the background. It's just like, even though your neighborhood is cool, LA hood is like sectioned off. It's like you'll be on a good block, peaceful, nothing happened. Go over 2 blocks, crack alley. But the people on a crack alley never came over to the peaceful block. It's great. You see that like over off like Century and Figueroa by the YMCA on the south side, on the north side of Century behind the YMCA, hood than a motherfucker. On the south side of Century, it's like a little motherfucking oasis back there. You be like, what? Quiet. And much love to Texas. But we gotta stop letting the hood define us black people. The hood ain't everything. And even when I lived east of the 110 freeway, off Slauson and Main Street. If you know LA, you know Slauson and Main Street. When you declared yourself as a civilian, you didn't really interact with that world. I don't remember, and we used to walk through the neighborhood. I would see them. I would see the gang members do what they do, but they didn't bother me. I remember seeing the SWAT team. I've seen the barricade knock in a house in front of me, the Ram they used to have. I've seen that with my own fucking 2 eyes. I remember the SWAT team used to have these big old vans that look like UPS vans. Like when I was a kid, every time the UPS van came, and this is real, I had to go to therapy for this. My mom saw something was wrong because I had seen a lot of people get shot. Every time I saw a UPS van, I would kind of jump because the UPS vans used to look like the SWAT team vans. And I remember seeing, I had a friend that ain't named Emmanuel, and I remember looking out my grandmama's window and seeing a SWAT team go up in Emmanuel's house and throwing flashbangs with these big ass guns. And I remember thinking, oh shit, my friend Emmanuel's in there. And so and I'm probably like 6. This is a very strong memory of mine. I'm probably like 5, I'm like 6. And I'm thinking, oh shit, they're in Emmanuel's house. And I'm seeing these flashbangs go off in this van called SWAT. And then, because Emmanuel's big brother was into some shit. But Emmanuel was 6 like I was 6. He didn't have nothing to do with what his big brother was doing. So I had severe PTSD at a young age. You know, not to mention the house. Then later on, like the house next to Emmanuel's house, like the next week, I remember seeing it get burned down. I think they was cooking like crack in that house or some shit. But the house burned down. That's over off Slauson and Broadway. Shit, Crenshaw and Slauson. I mean, Crenshaw and Rodeo. I told you I was involved in 3 different drive-bys by the time I was 10, because my neighbor was in the gang. I wasn't. My neighbor was. So we was in the middle of that world. And I got to hear Kwame Brown and Charleston White and all these lame-ass niggas talk about what niggas in the hood do. Like, no. Them niggas is fucking terrorists. We didn't get along with that shit. Anton Daniels. Everybody shooting everybody. No, that was a segment of people, but that was a minority. Now, the minority was the loudest and the most aggressive, but the rest of us, outside of those incidences here and there, we still lived a free life. It wasn't like everybody was robbing and shooting and killing. Even now, like, I've never not lived in a black neighborhood. I've never been afraid for my safety. I've never been afraid for my safety. Now I'm cautious. I got a CCW. And I carry crystals. I'm aware. I know how to defend myself. I carry pepper spray. I mean, keep that pepper spray on you. Very aware of the hood. Being raised in the hood make you aware of everything. I look at my wife, being raised in Ladera. She just be walking. I'd be like, you didn't see that? She'd be like, no, what? I be thinking like, man, you Ladera motherfuckers. God damn. My dad was from the streets, you know? So my dad raised me with that level of awareness. But it's like my mom, she was raised off Western in the 50s and the 60s. So my mom was raised at the time she was on Western, that was as far west as black people could go. So Western was a great fucking neighborhood. Western wasn't ghetto when my mom was on Western. My mom to this day be clowning my dad. My mom be like, man, y'all was ghetto as hell. Man, my mom was even though she was with her grandma, they were in a fucking great neighborhood. What's up, Brooke? My dad. Let's see what's going I got a motion detector light, but sometimes I be the little raccoons. Told you I live in nature. There be raccoons and skunks and cats be. Most of them raccoons and them skunks be setting my light off. But here, let's get into solutions. Let's get into solutions. Enough of my story. Enough of my story. Let's get into solutions. And let's take a look ahead and then get into solutions. When I look at the solutions, like Common said, that's why we find peace in beats and breaks. Because the story of the streets is needs and takes. Thank you, Common, for that beautiful line that was transmitted to you from the heavens. I've seen Common like twice. If I ever see him again, I'm gonna tell him that. I'm gonna tell him that. If I ever see him again. But basketball used to be a poor kid sport. I look around LA, like the park I used to hoop at the most, Westchester Park. They done turned the basketball courts into a skate park. And they moved the basketball court over to where it's now just one when it used to be 2 full courts. So we can run multiple games. Basketball, if you're going to play now, and for those of you who have kids, holla if you hear me, your kids got to play travel ball. And travel ball, if the team is actually traveling, is going to run you $15,000 to $30,000 per kid per year. If you're on a travel team. You could be on local teams, but travel teams is the only place that your kid's going to get noticed. So people start putting their kids on travel teams as early as 7 and 8 years old. They tell you 5,000 is going to, if you go into the tournaments and all that stuff, traveling, about 15,000 per kid per year. Basketball has become a middle-class sport. So what used to be a place of refuge is now something that the kids who need the refuge the most can't afford. Football's becoming expensive. Music is no longer in the schools. They don't teach vocations and trainings. So while us adults judge the quote-unquote YN, where is the respite for the YN? Where is the relief for the YN? We always say YNs is crazy. YNs are crazy. Well, when we was YNs, we could at least go to the park and play basketball. Can these kids? Are the rims locked? They didn't have rim locks when we were kids. They got rim locks now. We used to have a gym in the neighborhood we can go to box. With gentrification going on right now, where are the boxing gyms? My cousin Cece, who died in an unfortunate motorcycle accident, he taught karate for free out of Bethune over on 75th and Main Street. My cousin taught it for free literally up until he died. He had money, and that was his way of giving back, was to teach karate for free. Then he died in 2014, unfortunately, from a motorcycle accident. I had like 6 kids enrolled in this program when I worked there. But where are the karate dojos and boxing gyms? Where are the resources for the children? Before you judge the YN, where are the music jam session places where the places that they can learn instruments, learn skills, do something to be constructive with their time? That's why we find peace in beats and breaks. That's why I don't fuck with a lot of niggas my age, man. When it comes to kids and older, when it comes to how they talk about kids. I remember being that kid. I remember the old niggas talking about my generation that way. And when none of the niggas talking that way as dope as my dad. My dad was doper than all them niggas. My dad didn't talk like that. And I remember thinking like, man, I'll be like my dad. I ain't gonna be like these bum ass niggas. I always talking about my generation. I grew up, cause my dad was a lowrider. My dad was a lowrider in the 70s. So I remember going to the gas station and I would see my dad, if he saw somebody else in a lowrider. And one time we went to the Shell gas station over on Crenshaw and Slauson. And one of the dudes in the lowrider kind of parked his car off to the side. I remember my dad walking up to him and being like, hey, come here, I'll let you real quick, Slim. He was like, don't ever park your car where there ain't no lights. That's when niggas get your shit. Make sure you park your lowrider, your lowrider nice. Make sure you park your lowrider in the lights. I was 8. I was 8 or 9 years old. And I'm walking with my dad, because my dad used to always go to the gas station, pay for gas, get his cigarettes and his beer. And I just remember my dad thinking like, dang, my dad, I remember as a kid thinking like, hey, my dad always talking to people. I'm a kid, I'm like, oh, stop talking to them niggas, talk to me, shit. So my dad was always the one that had game for when he came across a quote unquote YN. My dad he was always the one that had game. And so I was like, man, fuck, I ain't gonna be like the rest, because I noticed like outside of my dad, all the old niggas did was criticize the kids. That's all the old niggas did was criticize the kids and the youth. Listen to all that hip hop, hippity hop. What's wrong with these kids? Uncle Jimmy, you a drunk. The fuck you mean what's wrong with us? Yeah, DJ Class 2004, that's how it was my dad. Like me and my sister be like, damn, daddy know everybody. Like, damn. Why daddy know everybody? So I followed in my father's footsteps. And it don't hurt that me and my dad have the same card. He's a king of clubs, I'm a king of clubs. That's real talk, Samuel Nathan 90. Yeah, I said, man, I ain't gonna be like that. I ain't gonna be like that. When I get gray hair, I'm giving up all the game. And so that's how I see it, you know? And I get tired of, when people my age want to judge the YN, because we was judged just as harshly when we was the YN's age. And nobody wants to explain what makes a YN. Nobody wants to explain that. It's an environment. And giving out shoes and the occasional turkey giveaway on Thanksgiving, that don't do shit. The bicycle giveaway don't do shit but feed your fucking ego. The backpack giveaway don't do shit. It don't. It really don't. It's a temporary respite. It is a Band-Aid on a busted artery. Think about somebody having a busted artery and blood coming out that busted artery, and here you come with a regular Band-Aid that's gonna be dry for about 12 seconds. And then that's what your little backpack giveaway does. Yeah, why do respect the elders? Hey, Mr. Mookie, that's your one joke. If your next joke ain't funny, my mods are going to do what they do. So use that next joke wisely because you're 0 for 1 right now. And your name is Mookie. That means your mama look like Kanisha on Lean On Me. Only niggas named Mookie or call themselves Mookie, they mama look like Kanisha on Lean On Me. She don't want me no more. Your next joke better be funny or you out of here. For sure. So that's what it is as a people. Our society is going to get better when the men embrace the youth. We got to embrace the YNs. Even when they fuck up, we got to understand that as men, no matter what we've done, and I've done a lot, but I know that it still ain't enough for what they need. So since they don't have the adequate environment that's necessary for them to not be YNs, we got to deal with a little bit more compassion. Now, compassion does not mean devoid of consequences. Because like I said, if one of the YNs break in my car, send that nigga to jail. There's some people, like people got mad at Umar when he said this shit 10 years ago, and you know, I got my own issues with Umar. But Umar was right about this one when he said a lot of these niggas is too far gone. And people got mad at him when he said that, but that's a fact. A lot of these niggas is too far gone. So if you kill another black person, you going to fucking jail. You steal from a black person, you going to jail. I'm very much so law and order. But there's a space. There's a space between law and order and once they commit a crime and when they are trying to figure it out. And that's the space that we have to connect to the YN in between now and the eventual crime. How do we connect to the YN in that space? Let me give you some interventions. This comment is what made when I don't even want to bring that story up. Anyway, because that person doesn't matter. They're a famous person, but they don't matter. This story stands on its own. No need to name drop. When I see young people, whenever I see a nigga in his 30s, because I'm in my 40s now, somebody in his 30s, 20s, teens, I always look a young black man in his eye and acknowledge his presence and his humanity. And when they 12, you as an older black man, one thing that goes a long way is to look our youth in the eye when we see them, and they usually got their heads down. They usually got a hoodie on. Don't judge it. Our boys are under a lot of shit. They got teachers that hate them. They got parents that hate them. They got society that thinks the worst of them. They under a lot of shit. The only thing about it, if you're a straight young black man, 20 years old, the only time you've seen a black person rewarded, put yourself in the shoes of a 20-year-old young black man. The only time you've seen a black person rewarded was if they was gay. when they come out, oh, he's great. Or if he's a fucking puppet. The only thing a 20-year-old black boy has seen, black young man has seen, the only time he's seen a black man be rewarded is if he's some coon-ass puppet or if he's gay. Courage is coming out. Everything he's seen that he feels, if somebody aggresses him, he wants to fight, oh, that's toxic. No. When you're a teenager, when you're in your 20s, that's the age to fight. You shouldn't be fighting in your 40s and 50s. But when you're in 16, 17, that's the age to get it in. Oh, that's toxic. They grew up watching Lil Nas X ride a devil's dick and get rewarded for it. They grew up seeing the women that are celebrated the most. If you're 20 years old, the two most celebrated women were Nicki Minaj and Cardi B, or Beyonce. And Beyonce is in her mid-40s still dressing like she's 20. Grow up. Like, when Diana Ross got into her 40s, she glammed it up. She became into a sophisticated lady. All that upside down, that shit, Diana let that shit go in her 30s. When Diana got to her 40s, she morphed up into class. Beyonce still dressing like she 10. Lil Wayne is classic to these niggas. What happened? What have they had to look up to if they don't have that particular thing in their immediate environment? What examples of masculinity have they seen? Because remember, human behavior is predicated and dictated of consequences and rewards. So everything you see get rewarded is gay. Everything you see get consequences is what is toxic. You're gonna feel awkward inside. Your natural feelings, which is how you're supposed to move, is gonna feel unnatural because you've been informed by your environment that it is. I didn't say Beyonce wasn't classy. She's classy sometimes. Look, dude, just go look at her last album cover. The one when she was on the horse. The album cover when Beyonce was riding a horse, she was naked. That album when Beyonce was riding a horse, she was naked. That's not me talking. I'm just reporting the news. We saw the album cover. She's naked on a horse in her 40s with 3 kids. Beyonce's a beautiful woman. Beyonce gonna be fine no matter what she got on. Beyonce gonna be fine no matter what she got on. That's a beautiful woman right there. She's above that. Just because they do it don't mean we have to accept it. So what does that mean? That means grow up. That's what I mean. No, Prince wore his ass cheeks out in the 80s. Prince didn't wear his ass cheeks out in the 2000s. He grew up. Everybody grows up. Tanya says she probably 54, we know. No, Prince. No, Beyonce's beautiful. Beyonce be fine no matter what she has on. If Beyonce decided to sell, if she decided to get her Diana Ross on, she'll be totally fine. All right, E.G. Butler, you have a good one. But this isn't about Beyonce. what I'm saying is there's a whole new thing going on. We have a whole new thing going on. No, not a false narrative, okay? If Beyonce doesn't need to grow up, okay. What song on the level of respect has Beyonce ever written? Y'all want to go there? Yeah, she flipped genres, but it's still the same old bullshit lyrically. And she done a great job in country. Lyrically, it's still simple. A lot of it's taken. See, okay, Sherelle Bryant disagreed with me. The women agree with me, I'm gonna leave these niggas alone. Appreciate that, Sherelle Bryant. As long as the women agree with me, I'm good on that topic. Because men, we always want to see ass and titties, so I get it. But Beyonce's gotten to the age where she can change it up a little bit. And you ain't gotta be butt naked on a horse. Sell that album without it. I'm never gonna apologize for asking black people to bring our standards back. High standards. High standards. When our music, when our entertainment is at the highest standard, we can't be touched. That's the only place we can't be touched. That's right, Brooke. Time to graduate to Angela Bassett status. See, y'all can fight me. Y'all can fight me all y'all want. I don't care. You fight me all you want. But the fact is, musically, in our creations, sports-wise, when we're at our best, we can ascend to a level that other people can't. When we bring it down here, that's where they match us. When you make it about sex, then yeah, you can put Rihanna next to Beyonce because she fine too. But when you have the package, which Beyonce does, Beyonce has the goods. I wouldn't even be saying this if I didn't think Beyonce had the goods. Some of the women, that's all they got. Beyonce got the goods. Beyonce would be totally fine. If she elevated it to the next level, she has the talent. She'll be fine. She can reach it. I promise you. That's why it's the issue. That's my issue with today's music is. In the old days, there was competition. You had to keep striving because there's somebody on your heels. The industry killed off R&B. So on the pop charts, Beyonce didn't have anybody that can push her. Like Whitney Houston was pop all day, but there was still so many black independent labels. You still had all those other black folks could have still gotten their R&B. If Whitney Houston didn't exist, we still would have been, even though she reached the top of the plateau, we still would have been fine with our R&B because we still had Shaka Khan, we still had Patrice Rushen, we still had Vesta, we still had Phyllis Hyman, we still had Stephanie Mills, we still had Shirley Murdoch, you know, Anita Baker. We still had all these other artists, and those artists made Whitney Houston keep having to ascend higher. There was no resting place because there was too much competition below. Beyonce didn't grow up in an environment musically where she had all that competition she had to worry about. Other Erykah Badu and Jill Scott threw them over in neo soul, so Beyonce didn't have to deal with them. That's why they created neo soul. Anybody with talent, Let's just put them in the neo soul category, so these pop artists who ain't that good ain't got to deal with them. There's nobody out there to take Beyonce's crown, so Beyonce can do what the fuck she want to do. She could sing lazy lyrics, make poppy, catchy stuff that really has no substance, because there's no one challenging her crown. No one in position in the music industry to challenge her crown. Who called Beyonce Madonna? See, that's why I gotta watch it with some of y'all. Who the fuck? Sherelle Bryant, did you see me call Beyonce Madonna? Night Boomer, anybody, JB Furious, anybody else? Tell it like it is. Did I ever call Beyonce? Did I ever give the impression that Beyonce's Madonna? Thank you, DMS. No, I didn't. Like, where'd that come from? I literally just said that there's another level that she can reach to be at the table with our greats that she's not reaching. I just said that there's a level that she can ascend to. I literally said there's a level that she can ascend to that she absolutely has the talent to ascend to. But she hasn't. Excuse me for wanting our greats to be great. My bad. So, back to what we're talking about. When it comes to inner city violence and how to fix it. Understand this, artist life. There are a lot of artists that during their time was as famous as Beyonce. I'm drawing a blank. I see her face right now. I'm drawing a blank to her name. Hazel Scott was one. I see her face, but I can't think of her name. We've had plenty of people who are very famous, but the ones who didn't take that extra step to really leave a message in their music, they got forgotten about when their generation died off. The artists that I teach about in my classes and I talk about, most of them left something in their music. Ella Fitzgerald, Billie Holiday, Strange Fruit. They left messages in their music that exist beyond time. I mean, there's a choice. You could be very rich or appear to be rich. Don't ever believe music industry money. If you're wise. You can be very rich and very famous. But Aretha's timeless. The people that tend to make it to stay around beyond generations are the ones that create timeless. Lauryn Hill, even with just one album, she's gonna be timeless. Lauryn Hill's gonna be timeless. You don't need a whole bunch of Grammys. You don't need a whole bunch of albums. You need to write something that tells the truth about what we see. But anyway, back to what we're talking about. And a lot of Beyonce, before I get to a lot of Beyonce music was, and this isn't her fault necessarily, but it was produced with current production, not live instrumentation, classic production. The reason why we remember Anita Baker more than most artists of the 80s was because Anita Baker sang, not only did she have a great voice, it was the live production. Those 80s plate fake instruments didn't live past the 80s, no matter how good the songs were, no matter how good the lyrics were, no matter how good the artist sang. Howard Hewitt's music stopped when the 80s stopped. Not because Howard Hewitt was fucking great. It's because the production was 1987. So when you sound like 2006 don't sound good to somebody born in 2016. But if you go live instruments, those are timeless. Live production is timeless. When you go for the sounds of your day, your music is going to stay in your day. And the people that your day are going to jam out to it, they ain't going to be playing that shit down the line. And Beyonce's cover of Etta James was horrible. Etta James didn't even like it. That's just a fact. Beyonce's At Last was fucking terrible. Just because she covered it don't mean it was a good job. That shit didn't have 2/3 of the soul. Vocally it was cool, but same deal. Beyonce's cover of Before I Let Go, it had no soul. It was just like, well, the thing that really embarrassed me about Beyonce was when she couldn't cover Emotion by the Bee Gees. How do you let that white woman, Sarah song, sound more soulful than you? How do you let the Bee Gees, 3 white men and a white woman, how the fuck? Because Emotion by the Bee Gees is soulful than a motherfucker. How can 3 black women not out-soul white people? I would have, as a producer, heard that shit in the studio and be like, nah, we ain't releasing this. We ain't gonna release this. The shit was way too rough. Way too rough. Texture, just, I would even have to completely redo the song into something that's a totally different approach than the Bee Gees. Just keep the lyrics and redo the approach. But they still took a Bee Gees approach, and it was terrible. You put her version next to the Bee Gees version, how them white people out soulful you? You don't touch no white people song. If you can't out soulful Michael McDonald on I Keep Forgetting We're Not in Love Anymore. If you black and you can't sing it as soulful as that white boy, don't do that song. Beyonce's version of that song was fucking trash. Only people who like her version of At Last is Beyonce fans. Everybody else still plays the original. Period. Beyonce fans may play hers. Everybody else plays the original. Period. Emotion, the only people gonna listen to that shit are Beyonce fans. Everybody else is gonna play the Bee Gees. It's fucking trash. Yeah, her version of The Closer I Get to You is every song Beyonce is like this unwanted guest. When Beyonce remakes music, that's like that cousin that y'all grew up together. So when they in town, they feel entitled to come over your house, but you don't really want them over your house. But you don't want to tell them no because that's your cousin that you grew up with. That's Beyonce doing remakes. It's like, I didn't invite you. You my cousin, I love you, but all right, go sleep on the couch. Oh, God. And you can't wait till they leave. That's Beyonce remaking classics. It's just this uninvited guest that you, because you love them, you're not going to kick them out. Look, Beyonce's about to butcher another classic. All right, I guess. All right, I guess. Come on, Beyonce. Do make me say it again, girl, by the Isley Brothers. At least Ron Isley. My only concession is, okay, Ron Isley and Frankie Beverly got paid. That's my only concession. Ron Isley got paid. At least the brother got paid. And that's how it is with Beyonce. At least she put money in the pockets of our legends, and I salute her for that. Outside of that, them remakes is trash. But let's get back on topic. Let's get back on topic. Let's get back on topic. Where do the black boys go? Where do the YNs go while we judging them as adults? I feel you, artist life. I probably will. But while we judging the YN, what resources do they have? Hell, we didn't have much growing up. These niggas have worse or less. I remember having an after-school program, kindergarten, first grade, second grade, third grade. And I remember going into the fourth grade with the after-school program cut. And it was like, what do we do? Third grade, Coliseum Elementary, we had an after-school program, man. We had caroms. We had a tutor there to help us with our homework. But we had all that. Fourth grade came, it was just like, and I remember being like, where's Miss Nikki? It was a lady named Miss Nikki. She was our after-school program coordinator. And the most we could do at that point, the school would like, because my mom didn't get off work until 4 o'clock. And I wasn't quite walking home from school yet by myself. And so my mom getting off work at 4 o'clock, I had to be at school for that hour till she got off work. And then I remember they just rolled the basketball out there, so those of us who left late we at least play basketball. But then the problem will come. The problem will come when it would be a drive-by. We had these random ass drive-bys because again the jungle was right across the street. So we'd be out there playing basketball. Then a drive-by would happen, and then one of the teachers who was there late would say, "Hey kids, come into the auditorium." But I remember seeing that resource get taken away right in front of us. And now we're being gentrified and disaggregated. Black neighborhoods are getting mixed up, and black people are having to move to multicultural neighborhoods. One thing we've always had in this country were our own neighborhoods, whether it would be our own cities in the South, or once we got to the North and to the West, we got our own sides of town. Now we're going into uncharted territory, disaggregation, where we don't see ourselves in our own neighborhoods anymore. And to play basketball, you need $15,000 a year per child, while kids in Africa get it for free. Yeah, we're going to melting pot phase, to where I'm still here. We're all being thrown in together, and we're not going to have in 10 years, 5 years in some cities, in 15 years in other cities, you're not going to have aggregated black neighborhoods. How do we navigate that? And that's actually been a question in my mind for a little bit. And I haven't figured out the answer. But this next phase of disaggregation, I don't know how we're going to navigate that. I really don't. It's like, I know that there's an online community, but how do we navigate this new era of Black America to where we're not together? This is going to be something that's completely new to us. No matter what moves this country's made in the past, we've been together. In 15 years, we're not going to be together anymore. I don't have the answer for that. I don't think we're cooked. I see why you say cooked, Tanya, but I don't think we're cooked. I think that this is something that we're going to have to figure out. And we've always figured it out. We're going to have to figure it out. But this whole deal with Trump bringing in the National Guard is just a temporary fix. And more solutions, I think another good solution would be if the church ever wants to rebound, because as we all see that the black church is dying off. It's dying off. The way for the black church to rebound is going to be for the black church to go back to its original intent. And that's for the black church to be a central hub for our education. If the black church ever decides to go back to, if the black church ever decides to go back to teaching you manual skills and labor, updating that with technical skills, places to where the black church funds its own basketball AAU teams, or they put money and they offset the cost of travel ball, because the black church is bringing in a hell of a lot of money. Black church is going to have this basketball teams that goes on travel ball that's free or cheap or offset the cost where the parents don't have to pay as much. If the church ever decided to become a part of the community again, that's the only thing that's going to save it. If the church wants to continue this isolationist, give me all the money and listen to everything that I say agenda, it's going to die. Period. And I don't think the black church is going to die. It's been on the verge plenty of times. What's up, man? What up, Doc? The church is going to... Oh, yeah, Asians are about to start outnumbering us, yeah. Trump said he's bringing in 600,000 Chinese. We're going to have to find communities online like we are right now. I think finding ourselves online is going to help a whole lot. I think online between here and also Web 3.0, the metaverse, I think what's going to happen is through this disaggregation, we're going to find a lot more unity through these online means. In the online communities, there's going to be more communities than our actual physical communities we live in. There's opportunities here. But this is where us as adults are going to have to work with, quote unquote, the YN. Because they're the ones that's going to have the energy to pull it off. And they know what's going on for their generation better than we do. I think it's high time that black adults, men and women, reunite with the youth and give them more respect and give them game, and also take time to listen to them. Because if we had all the answers, white supremacy would have ended with us, right? Right? If we had all the answers, we'd be telling the kids about what white supremacy used to be. This thing, he said, stop trying to be 60 years old in the NBA. You see these young cats coming in, and they remind you of what the physicality you once had. Don't be jealous of them. Give them some wisdom you didn't have at that age. That'll go a hell of a lot longer for us than you being jealous of them. We need the women to not be jealous of the young girls. Just because the young women look good. They bodies what you thought yours was what yours once was. Don't be. I see a lot of jealousy from older women to younger women, because the younger women remind the older women of what they once had. Let it go. Be a center of wisdom for the young ladies. Yeah, bring back the knowledge of the youth. We need that. We need that. No more feminism. No more side agendas. Trying to go back to being one with everyone within us. I've been talking for damn near 2 hours, y'all. But that's why they wrong. That's why people like Anton Daniels is wrong. Although I'm not against the National Guard is a temporary fix. If America's serious about crime, America will will create opportunities, not for immigrants, but for us. That's the quickest way to stop any of this crime. There's very little senseless violence. Most violence has a story. When people put guns out, they're generally a story. Like, the media that lied to y'all got y'all thinking that people just randomly go around shooting people in the hood. That's so not fucking true. Now, it's definitely true in y'all neighborhoods. People going around shooting up Catholic schools and shit while the kids are praying. But for us, it ain't natural. When these niggas be going around killing people, it's usually over the same reasons most people die: money and passion. A lot of these gang wars are started because somebody fucked the wrong nigga's woman. That's just a fact. Or money. We live in a world, that's why economics comes in so strong, in an environment to where you can make money. In an environment where there are no jobs that are hiring you, what do? You're gonna make your money because you have to eat. You're gonna make it through nefarious means. And when you make your money through nefarious means, you deal with nefarious people. And so, nefarious activities ensue. It's not an excuse, it's cause and effect. Everything has a cause and effect relationship. And a way to change course of that cause and effect relationship is to provide different means and multiple means for these kids to make money. Not just about education. Education is great. But if you have education that doesn't lead to job skills, what good is it? All right. I'm gonna holler at y'all sometime probably tomorrow, alright? I'm about to get the fuck up out of here. Y'all have a good one.